في لقاء مع العربية توقعت كالي ديفيس المحللة الاقتصادية في شركة أكسفورد إيكونومكس أن الفجوة التمويلية لمصر ستكون أكثر بكثير من تقديرات صندوق النقد الدولي وستصل إلى 20 مليار دولار للعام 2023 لوحده.
We actually estimate the funding up to be around $20 billion this year alone, that being 2023. And this includes a much higher current account deficit forecast, so a much wider current account deficit forecast, lower foreign direct investment inflows, and weaker portfolio inflow estimates. And then we also think that the external debt service could potentially be much higher than what the IMF is currently quoting in its report, as the IMF tends to seems to be excluding very short-term repayments, and it's not entirely clear exactly why.
مصر قامت بتعويم الجنيه للمرة الثالثة وتعتزم الالتزام بسعر صرف مرن. هل ترين أن قوى العرض والطلب هي التي تتحكم في سعر الصرف حاليا، مع العلم أنه لم يتم إنهاء أزمة البضائع المكدسة في الموانئ بعد؟
Yes, so at the moment, I do believe that the currency is sort of moving towards a floating exchange rate arrangement, especially given that the head of the IMF Egypt program did state that the Egyptians haven't intervened in the currency market since October. So I do believe that the latest bout of depreciation, which occurred in January, was largely driven by these various goods at the domestic ports being released, and this resulted in a sudden drawdown on the foreign currency. On foreign currency reserves, which ultimately resulted in a weakening of the Egyptian pound. That being said, I do think that there is room for further depreciation of the currency going forward, especially if foreign reserves come under even more pressure. And with foreign reserves coming under pressure, this definitely reduces the Central Bank of Egypt's ability to continue to intervene in the currency market.
ما هي التوقعات للجنيه المصري في الفترة المقبلة، خاصة في ضوء رصد البنك المركزي المصري عودة استثمارات الأجانب في أدوات الدين والتي هربت من مصر بمجرد الحرب الروسية الأوكرانية؟
Sure. So our current baseline, which we just revised, sees the Egyptian pound depreciating to around 32 Egyptian pounds to the US dollar by the end of this year. Obviously, that will lead to rising inflation. We see inflation peaking at around 24-25% year on year in March, and thereafter we see it easing to around 17% year on year by the end of this year, that being December. On the exchange rate, obviously, if we do believe that the currency is in a floating exchange rate arrangement or close to being in this type of arrangement, any sudden drawdown on FX reserves would obviously place significant downside risks to this forecast that I've just quoted of the Egyptian pound.
في ضوء الإجراءات الأخيرة للبنك المركزي والحكومة لضبط السياسة النقدية، هل برأيك مصر قادرة على اللجوء للأسواق الدولية حالياً؟
So since the recent depreciation, we have seen various media reports saying that there has been an inflow of portfolio flows or increased demand for Egyptian assets. But that being said, I think as long as uncertainty around the Egyptian pound and the currency remains, foreign investors will remain somewhat hesitant towards buying Egyptian government-issued assets, at least until they know that they will hold their value and they won't depreciate further against the dollar. So there is that ongoing risk to the market.